All right, now that was a practice, the most competitive 49ers session yet. And if you're Kyle Shanahan, if you're a head coach of a team, it's exactly what you want to see. It was very, very balanced. It started with Brock Purdy absolutely on fire. Pump fake, they called him the pump fake god at Iowa State. Well, the pump fake was able to get Deebo Samuel open on a deep pass against Isaac Yiadom. 60-yard touchdown, dropped in a bucket. Beautifully done for the 49ers. A little bit later, Brock Purdy was rolling to his left away from the pass rush, and he just flipped his hips on the run, tossed one over the defense, another deep ball, 25, 30 yards in the air to Christian McCaffrey, who ran it in for a 60-yard touchdown. But later on, the defense struck back. The 49ers moved to what we call move the ball. That means the chain gang actually moves along with the offense. So it more closely simulates what you're going to do in an actual game. And during the move the ball session, Brock Purdy got intercepted a couple times. We saw Deommodore Lenoir get him for the most damaging interception, probably would have been a pick six. And then there was a deep ball, similar kind of play where Brock Purdy was trying to get away from the rush. And he went deep to Jawan Jennings, maybe 40, 45 yards downfield. And George Odom, the safety, made a really physical, nice pick right near the sideline. Wasn't sure if he was inbounds or not, but we'll count it for George Odom. Practice actually finished with Josh Dobbs, who's in the competition to be the 49ers backup quarterback, throwing an interception to Ambry Thomas. It was the longest, most intense session so far. One-on-ones actually happened. So, I mean, again, if you're Shanahan, you're always in these practices. If your offense is doing really well, you're like, oh, is my defense up to the task? And if your defense is doing really well, you're like, is the offense doing what it needs to be? So this early in camp, I think that it's a good sign to see some true balance. And I think we saw some true rhythm and some wild plays from Brock Purdy early, but then we saw the defense just muscle up later. Purdy's 8 completion streak to begin the practice ended when Fred Warner jumped in front of Chris Conley. And it was a ball that Purdy shouldn't have thrown, but Warner didn't pick it off. He dropped it, so gave the 49ers another chance in that move the ball session. But still, it was a situation where obviously it broke the streak for Brock Purdy early on. We saw a really, really impressive practice today, and it's the first one for Terrell Owens' son, Tariq Owens. They did one-on-ones for the first time. With second day of pads, that's tradition for the 49ers. And I watched the receivers against the cornerbacks. And there's 2 other one-on-one sessions going on. It's the tight ends and the running backs against the linebackers, which I'll obviously watch coming up in some of these other practices. And I'll have a fuller report on what happened in those one-on-ones a little bit later. But the receivers against the corner saw Tariq Owens win twice, including on a deep ball against Ambry Thomas, who finished up the practice with that interception. Tariq had been dropping some passes early in training camp. I mean, he looked like the raw prospect that he is. He played a lot of basketball, and then he switched to football fairly late. He runs a lot like his dad, Terrell Owens, and late in practice, he caught a deep ball for a touchdown from Brandon Allen that, I thought was a nice little counterpunch from the offense that might have needed one toward the end of the really competitive practice that saw that defense asserting itself. I'll have more on all the one-on-ones. I thought Danny Gray had a nice go route that he turned into a comeback. Was impressive. And I did think that the 49ers were in a position where it showed again that they definitely need Trent Williams back, and they need to improve that pass protection. Obviously, big number 71 is somebody who can do that for San Francisco. But on some of those move the ball third down attempts, including the Purdy interception to Deommodore Lenoir, the pass protection was not up to standard. But still, that's how we react to this practice. We look at the way that it went back and forth today. It was surely entertaining out there between the one-on-ones, between the offense and Purdy dominating early, and then the defense striking back with that handful of interceptions. Christian McCaffrey, still a really good football player, by the way. He's running hard. He's running really well for the 49ers. There's even a minor little scuffle. I got to get into that a little bit later. But it was T.Y. McGill, the defensive tackle, against Jared Kingston, the rookie offensive lineman. Got into a little shoving match after a play. Not a major fight, but worth reporting on. That is for sure. All right, catch me a little bit later. We'll go through everything that happened at practice. Just wanted to give you the very quick rundown.